Welcome to Voices in Hyperspace. This is a podcast where a group of friends get together and talk all things sci-fi. I'm Legendary Black Lion. I'm here with all of my friends, and we're gonna have a ton of fun. We just finished season 1 of Starfleet Academy, and I guess let's go around the room. Who we got with us?
I'm Mel Asylum.
PJ3K.
Hey y'all, this is Sunday. We're so glad to have everybody back to do a recap of season 1, Starfleet Academy, Star Trek. I said that backward because I'm dyslexic and that's okay because we're not even gonna like re-record that part. But I wanted to ask you guys, how did it go? Like just like wide lens, how did you feel about this first season? Don't all
Well,
jump in at once.
I'm trying to get my thoughts together on it because I liked it a lot. I thought it was a welcome return since we hadn't had a real Trek show in a little bit. There's a little gap there. So like I really liked having a show again. And I liked how it was set in the future. They didn't try to go backwards again. Like, because there was a huge gap between the timeline after Picard and when we get to this time period that Discovery had gone to. So I like how it picks up right after Discovery.
Mm. I really enjoyed it. I was excited about it because I have been a Star Trek fan almost all my life. And I spent a lot of time working in the education system, and I'm a parent. So seeing the way they looked at how we raise our children, how we educate them, how we prepare people for the world today, um, as the way that Star Trek does in paralleling what's going on in the real world. So the burn being like COVID, or let's confront like kids and their mental states and their traumas based on how they were raised, what they need, what would fill in those gaps. I love Ake being like a physical representation of gentle parenting, not necessarily having to put your foot down and expecting perfection from people who've never done things before, or or people who are curious. Like kids are just gonna do stuff. And I really have this strange feeling in my heart that they have a child psychologist on the writers team, because I thought they act like real teenage kids, and it was really cool to just keep that going with Star Trek in this way, because this way is so important. With everything else that Star Trek does, you can't really fix it without fixing the way people think. You can point out everything as much as you want, and people just gonna get mad as they have with this show.
I think for the first season, they had a lot more hits than misses. And I think if there were misses, it really had to do more with the format, streaming service, um, limited to 10 episodes per season, and expecting immediate results. And it's just one of those things that you have to deal with when you're in that environment. Um, and I have a whole lot of criticisms with that aspect of it. However, like what was on screen and what I saw of the show, it from episode 1 to episode 10, um, I thought it was a great story and a great way to approach it. And I think I'm in this I'm in the same boat as PJ, where it's like it's been a while since we had like forward thinking Trek. Um, since you said that, I was like, yeah, it is wild that since Voyager was over, they kept going to the past. Like
Yeah.
and I get it, it's like this is how Starfleet started, and you need to see the journey. I'm like, no, we don't, because you have to invent technologies that's not as good, but also not as bad for people to stay interested. Um,
And like Strange New Worlds is a good show,
yes.
but it was only created because of in Discovery, they found out that those characters were popular,
Yeah,
the ones that the Enterprise characters they introduced, and that was only to give it a little nostalgia. And then they were like, "Well, these characters are actually really popular. Maybe we could expand on that." And then they did, and we got a whole show out of it. But it's like, well, this is always going to end. It's going to lead up to Kirk.
yeah,
We're going to meet Kirk again. And it's like, well, I mean, we've kinda seen this already. So,
yeah,
kinda seen this world already.
yeah,
And
it,
it also kinda creates problems like Discovery did,
yeah,
where, like, it creates problems with it being like, retconning things. And then the diehard fans that come out of the woodwork and are like, "Well, that didn't happen. Well, that's not true canon." And they're like, "Well, we could change it a little bit, guys.
yeah,
Come on."
yeah, yeah. It's
It's a TV show.
yeah, it's a TV show. It's a TV show. Get a life. Uh,
Yeah, we're sitting here talking about it.
yeah. Um, no, no, but that's like that's a William Shatner quote, I think, from Saturday Night Live. It
Oh,
was
yes.
basically him and Saturday Night Live making fun of Comic Con, well, con culture, because you have fans who are extremely like committed to the to the text, to the canon of the show, to the lore. And they're asking an actor who did not write it all these questions about the show, and his whole thing is like, "Bro, I don't know, it's a TV show," you know. And while it's fun, like, that we're doing this show, it's fun to talk about it. It's fun to have these conversations. It's fun to think about it. But after a while, it's just like you do have to realize this is media. This is art. This is something that was created by someone else, and while we consume it, our ability to enjoy it is limited to what we're actually able to see. And this is where I can get on people who, for whatever reason, think that Star Trek Legacy was supposed to ever be a thing when they announced at the end of Picard 3 that there are no plans to take that cast of people and create a whole new show. They've been saying no for 5 years, and people are surprised, like, oh, they're not going to make it. It's like, no, they said that.
We can still dream. We can still hope and dream.
Mm,
hmm
And wishing.
that comment
So,
about oh, go ahead, Sunday.
no, you got it.
The comment about them, like, remaking it and not sticking to the original script is like for thousands of years, that's how stories were told. Like, the every
Just,
time it was told in every generation, someone retold it and altered something. Like, there are some folk tales, like the Three Little Pigs, that we can go back to, like, the 13th century and see where, like, there are similar stories that are very different, but it looks like it just evolved. And Robin Hood is a really good example where like people would just travel and tell the story, and maybe they added something that did better and got them more money when they performed it somewhere else in a different way. So that got added, and it kept evolving and evolving. That's how stories are supposed to work.
yeah. I wanted to
Yeah,
add one
people.
more. Go ahead.
Nope, you got it.
I was gonna say I wanted to add one more little thing. Like for Star Trek, for the Star Trek series, or the universe, I'm excited to see a Starfleet Academy. Throughout all of the series, there have been these stories about Starfleet Academy. We've heard about the main characters and their time in Starfleet Academy. We've even had a couple of episodes where we see people screwing things up in Starfleet Academy. And it's like, I wonder what it's like in there. And so we get to see a glimpse of that. And to me, that makes it exciting. I do like that they are youth, they are kids who are screwing up, and they have to develop as people, as they also help redefine what Starfleet is. And yeah, it's just like what you said, Mel. It's in a new world after the burn. It's kind of a post collapse again, and that right there is exciting because there's so many stories to be told, and with the characters that we have, there are that multiplies, and so I'm super excited about that.
For me, it was an emotional roller coaster and it kept me engaged. I was never bored with the show. And my least favorite thing is when you have shows that have 50 million 11 episodes per season, which is nice for binging for fuck ever, but it also has those um episodes that don't really mean anything, those filler episodes, and I don't think any of these, if I can recall correctly, I don't think we really felt like any of these were, filler in nature, and it just was a lot of, action and like I was saying with the emotions and the different relationship dynamics, it's not just the the captain of the ship, and then there are the supporting cast from the crew. Like, what is the name of the place where they fly the starship
The
from?
Athena, the bridge.
No,
Mm.
what's the
The bridge.
bridge? Right. So basically, it's like the captain and whoever is on the bridge. You might get a story about one of them sometime. With this, it's all over the place. You're deep into the character development and building of at least 6 or 7 of the students, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 of the instructors, and then there's the villain. Like, that is a lot going on in a very short period of time, and I think that they are doing it all pretty good justice. Like, they are going deep into the families and the culture and the experience of, um, multiple different characters and still all tying them into relationship with each other extremely well.
I'm glad that you
Yeah,
brought up the
that is
characters. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, PJ.
oh, I was just gonna latch on to what she was saying because I was like, I'm very proud of these writers for balancing out the storylines for all of these characters. Because, like she said, we have the students, we have the instructors, and there's like, and the villain, and then the backstory about Caleb's mom, and it's like all of this is like you got to remember, and then there's the war college. So it's like all these side characters, and you're like, we want to keep them relevant, so we have to constantly put them in episodes to remind us that they're still there. Like there was a few I feel so bad that fell off. Like
Yeah.
we mentioned this a couple episodes. There was the she was like the main instructor, the one that wore the science officer uniform. She was a she was human and she was like supposed to be the head teacher on the bridge, and we saw her in
Yeah.
the early episodes, like 2 or 3 early
Yeah.
episodes,
Yeah. She was like
and
the
they yeah, she's
some
like,
sort of
"This is a
liaison to
teachable
help.
moment."
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, um, but we kind of she disappeared,
Yeah.
and it was up to, uh, Chancellor Ake, Jet Reno, Laura Thawk, and the Doctor, really,
Yeah.
and but we do hear about those characters, so they do still exist there, and it's just the writers have to find that balance. So, when can we bring them back? When are they going to be? When are these characters going to need to be relevant?
Yeah.
Mm.
In contrast, think about it like this. Because I know there are people who are complaining about that. Um, Next generation, there are people who have served on that ship, and we've literally seen them like 1 or 2 episodes. They're always there, but we don't talk to them. The character Miles O'Brien was one of those characters until the writers realized like, oh, Colin Maney is a good actor. We like this guy. And so they changed the color of his shirt and they gave him a different job, and then he became like one of the most popular characters in Star Trek.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But
uh,
they gave it
he
time.
was in. uh, I've been going back to doing a rewatch of The Next Generation, and he was in the first episode, and I haven't seen him show up again, and I'm
Mhm.
halfway through the first season, and he was a red shirt. He
Yeah.
was a red shirt in
He
that first season.
and what
Mm.
he wasn't he on the battle bridge at the time too?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was on the battle bridge.
yeah.
Um, and then I think the the chief. I always thought Jordy was the uh, engineering chief, but he wasn't in the beginning. He was a
Mm,
red shirt also. And
Mhm.
then I don't yeah, and then at some point in time, he was promoted and made the chief of, engineering.
hmm.
So and his shirt changed. He was a pilot in the first season.
Yes, that's right, because they were like
Ah,
I remember one of the
Mhm.
interviews they were like, "Well, y'all have me at the helm, but the ship can kind of fly itself. So what do I do?" And then they were like, "You know what? That's a good point. Let's make you work on the engine." So,
yeah, earlier this season, the chief engineer was a woman, and then it changed to a man.
yep,
Mhm.
yeah. Um,
I am go ahead, love.
I was gonna say, when it comes to the characters, um, that I paid attention to as far as like story arcs, Caleb is extremely interesting, and I want to point out a couple of things because people are like, "Well, he's not that interesting of a character," and I'm gonna say actually he is. He's pretty complex. One, he does come across as a child because he is. Um, and two, his main motivation is to find his mom. And so, like, while he did connect and make friends with folks, he did the entire season keep himself distant from people too. The episodes that
Mm.
didn't involve him, he seemed extremely distant mentally. He didn't seem connected to people. He seemed distracted. And that's what you would expect from a young person who is preoccupied with something that they see as more important. And I thought that was played very well. Um, for me, it was very interesting to see kind of like the huge contrast between episodes that focus on Caleb because you can see him. I think I said this in one of the earlier episodes. You can see when he's really trying to exude like confidence and control over a situation. But then when he's shown up, he looks like a kid who had candy stolen from him. He looks a little dumbfounded. He looks a little surprised. He's a little deflated. And I'm like, yeah, that 100 like if you look at teenagers especially in the inner city, you don't need any traumatic thing happening. Just look how everybody behaves. That's Caleb. He kind of
Mhm.
he that's kind of his background. And then for him to go from I hate Starfleet to like, you know what? I learned a lot from the academy. I learned a lot about myself. I think this is a good place for me. By the end of the series, that is such amazing character growth. And it came through trials and tribulation. Uh I'm not saying Caleb has to be your favorite character, but if you take a real world perspective at a year away at school and the growth that he's had, um, they did an amazing job capturing that.
I wanted to ask before we get any further in with the characters that we spent a lot of time with, what were you guys' thoughts around knowing that some characters from Discovery were going to be present in Starfleet Academy, but when we got here, we didn't really get what maybe I think a lot of us were hoping for, if you know what I'm saying.
Mm. I
It
didn't have
was
it. Oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I didn't really have any expectations. I just wanted to see what they were going to do. Um, the Yeah, because you would think Sylvia Tilly would be in there, but she only showed up for one episode, and like that was a little weird for me, but it didn't take away from it because what's her name? She's so awesome. Oh,
Which
the
one?
engineer,
Oh yeah,
the engineer,
Tig Notaro or Jet Reno. Yeah,
Jet Reno. Yeah, I don't care. Jet Reno is so much fun.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
PJ?
Oh, well, what I was gonna say was, let me find my train of thought real quick. Okay. It got explained really well. I was a little bit like I wanted to see more of Tilly, but the fact that she said she was with the third years on like in space in the beta quadrant, that made sense. Because even though they said this is the first year, there were already students out there like learning. Because at the end of Discovery, we learned that they had taken on cadets, but it wasn't officially Starfleet Academy. It was like, okay, we still need to bring in new officers. We have all these young kids out there that we're finding. What was the young girl's name from the last season of she was the Trill.
Oh
She,
gosh.
she was
Oh,
human.
Gray?
Gray was the Trill, and then the girl she identified as they.
They.
dang,
Yeah.
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 We know who
Their
you're talking about, but I
partner,
don't
yes.
remember their name.
The one that was
Um
adopted by, the
Adir
engineer at the
Adira. It was
yes.
Adira.
Tecmo.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Adira became a cadet, and I believe
Oh
so
yeah,
did
that's right.
Ray. Ray and Adira both became cadets, so they are in Starfleet Academy, but they are on location. Like they're the third years that
Mhm.
Tilly was speaking of. So yeah,
Yeah,
but that would have been nice to see them appear in this show, those characters. If
yeah,
they could get the same actors to come back, that would have been great.
The thing though is Discovery had a much darker tone to it.
They
Um
did.
mhm,
especially that last season. It was like, okay, we saved the galaxy, but
The
it,
galaxy is dark.
the galaxy is dark and we might get destroyed anyway. Um the I think in general I was okay with it featuring only a couple characters from Discovery. And the reason why Discovery was definitely high stakes. And I mean, honestly, if you think of any Star Trek, there are gonna be some like really high stake episodes or high stake situations. And I like, and this is just my opinion, y'all can share or not share, but I think Starfleet Academy should have lower stakes um that can prepare the students for higher stakes when they become Starfleet officers. Um
mhm,
so like when when okay, I think it's okay that they are dealing with the pirates because you know the galaxy is still fractured even though the Federation is rebuilding itself. There are still bad actors out there trying to take advantage of how separated everybody is. And so it makes sense to say we need to learn how to navigate this world. Um, I wouldn't expect someone from 800 years ago to have that all set out. So, I mean, an appropriate character like Jet Reno, an engineer, is great. Uh, and a person who goes into education like Tilly is great. But other than that, I think it would be a challenge because what would Saru do on Starfleet Academy? He'd probably give a speech. I don't know. What would Michael Burnham do? Give a speech where it's like, yeah, I almost blew everything up. Um, but I didn't.
Well, Michael Burnham. Michael Burnham was good at giving speeches.
mhm.
Michael Burnham did give she like giving
She'd be a
speeches.
She
good
gave some good
motivational
speeches.
speaker.
Maybe in the
And,
future they can have Michael give like a commencement speech.
mhm, and, the other character you mentioned whose name I can never remember, he
Saru?
could teach them, yeah, Saru. Like, maybe there's universal things that never die that they can teach them. That like coming out of, especially, and he has a similar background to like the burn. Well, not exactly, but he knows what it's like to be separated from the rest of the universe and not being able, not living in a environment that allows him to reach his potential, and then eventually getting to a place where he is in an environment to reach his potential. And that I think would be really cool for him to pass on to the students, especially our at-risk youth, Mr. Caleb. Oh,
At-risk youth.
'Cause
That
didn't
yep,
that's
he
exactly
stay
what he is. He's the at-risk youth, like
yep, yep.
'Cause didn't he stay behind with, the guy, I don't remember the character's name, but he was stranded on a ship that was stranded on a planet, and his emotions was fucking everything up,
Yeah, he
Yeah, that
w
and
was
the
the
the root
yeah, it was the other
that
Kelpian, but I don't think he's I mean, he stayed to help him,
he
but I think he didn't he also get married?
yeah, well, I believe that kid eventually came back with them, and I think he joined Starfleet Academy, the one in Discovery.
oh,
Yeah,
That
okay.
kid did. Yeah, but he was the cause of the burn.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and so I think that Saru is a great role model, and he's a lovely example of just an amazing being, and that's why I named my dog after him because he's awesome. Anybody got smoke for Saru can come see me, and I
Oh,
will.
now I remember his name.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because that's my honey baby.
I did not make that connection.
Um,
You
And
didn't?
No.
and he did marry a Vulcan
yeah, he married a Vulcan.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yes, he married that. She was a delegate or
ambassador.
something.
Yeah.
he also he
Yeah.
gave up his commission as captain to pursue an ambassador role.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
So maybe in future installments they can uh drop in on those characters and be like, yeah, so here's the ambassador, here's I don't know, here's
He
someone who's
became
in Star. I wonder what the other engineers or the two engineers, the doctor where they were like navigating the mycelium network, are they still on Discovery? You know?
Oh yeah.
They still have a crew for this because they mentioned Discovery.
Yeah.
I think it was
Yeah.
integrated a lot more than, was it Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. integrated the rest of Marvel.
Oh god.
Yeah,
It's
because
just a
they
name
did
drop.
ask if they were going to be able to use Discovery to jump past the barrier, and they were like, "No, that
No.
will probably
trigger
trigger a
it. Yeah.
reaction and blow
Mhm.
everything up." Hmm.
And then the
For
Because
me,
Discovery
I
did show
think I
up on
was.
screen too for a few seconds in the last episode.
yeah.
Discovery was a graphic.
Yeah, yeah.
I was disappointed because, and it's my own fault. It's nothing that Starfleet Academy. I be struggling. It's nothing that Star Trek did with Starfleet Academy. I just expected to see Tilly, and I love her so much. And when she wasn't there, I was just like, oh no. And the one episode that she did come in, it was really good to see her. But I guess when I hope for what future seasons will have, that, I just cross my fingers that I'm going to get more of her. And now that you guys are bringing to my remembrance, all of the different bits and pieces of one of my favorites, the Discovery, like could be intertwined into the future of Starfleet would be really exciting to know. Moving us right along, I now would like to know what you guys' favorite parts were uh, of Starfleet.
So, my favorite part is Sam. uh, that
Get in,
actress,
Sam.
yeah, I mean, it's Sam. Like the concept of Sam. We have a holographic character. They keep saying she's holographic, but she's photonic. She was created by a photonic species, program. So, I mean, I would say she's more in the realm of what Data is. He was created, but he grew on his own. And
Mhm.
that's what Sam is doing. Um and honestly, they did a whole lot with Sam in 3 episodes. Like if this were any other series, this would last through several seasons of figuring out what's going on with Sam. Um, it is kind of like with Isaac on the Orville. It took them 3 seasons to get all the way down to the root of what Isaac is, and with Sam, they just jump right in. It's like, okay, you heard that she's a holographic character. This is what we're dealing with, and the actress I think is amazing. She to me is able to um like really give the feeling of a youth that is just now discovering the world, which again is a wonderful theme for Starfleet Academy. Is imagine you go to school and you meet rural kids who are going to an academy in the city. There's going to be culture shock. There's going to be some emotional shock. There's going to be some quirky activity. They're going to discover a lot about themselves. They're going to discover, like, hey, some of the things that you think are weird about you are weird for a specific reason, you know? Or maybe you think that some of the things that you're interested in that are weird is not weird. And you just needed to connect with people who resonate with you. Sam learned early on, like, hey, I'm different. People don't seem to like me, they seem to tolerate me. What's going on? You know what I mean? Um, that goes along with us clocking her as being spectrum coded. She's definitely ADHD. um, and I like how Sam has this youthful optimism because in every situation, even when she's like freaking out over what is it, Calicut, she's like, this is not like laser tag. Even when she's freaking out over Calicut, she's not like in despair. She's just like excited because she's experiencing things. And here's what people have to realize. At that point, she was 100 days old. 100 days. So all of the sensations, the reason why she is exaggerating things, she's screaming, she's emoting, is because all of that stuff is new. And she started to figure out over time, like, oh, shoot, I shouldn't be acting like this, but I feel this, you know? Um, and so she was like, people just seem to tolerate me. She's talking to the doctor. The doctor was like, don't get too close to me. I've lost my family in the past, and I don't want to feel that pain ever again.
Dun, dun, dun.
Bravo.
um, but also Sam can't handle her alcohol, and she straight up started a fight, a bar fight, like a bar fight that even the war college was like, holy shit, what is happening? you know, so but all of Sam's story to me, I think was my favorite. I love that character. I love that actress, and I think we need some more Sam.
Mhm. Let me continue talking about Sam. Oh, especially episode 5, I saw so even from the whole thing, I see so much of myself in Sam. And, the autism, I'm not ADHD, but there's a lot in common with ADHD, with autism and dyslexia. So, and then just being the weird one, like, I grew up really small in a more suburban area in a more controlled environment. My idea of blackness came from Nation of Islam, and then all
Oh,
of a sudden, as a preteen, I go into an inner city environment, and it is a huge culture shock. I have no idea what's going on, and everyone's like, "That child is weird. What is wrong with her? She's like reading books," and not to put that stereotype on inner city kids, but like they had other things they rather do, like buy candy and do hair and nails and stuff. And I'm also just a nerd, so um I saw so much of her in me, and that I've always liked being a writer. I wanted to be a writer. I always loved making stories and writing. So connecting her to Cisco and Jake just I can't talk. I'm about to tear up again. I can't think about it without wanting to tear up because I felt like these characters who inspired me so much when I was a preteen that put that seed in me that I am worthy of doing that thing was talking to a character that basically mirrored me. And it was like Jake was talking to little 17-year-old
Mhm.
me when I would have needed it. And I'm like, oh my God. That episode meant so much to me, and seeing, Benny, the typewriter, and reminding us of Benny and, his story, and that was another story that made me cry too. And, how Benny talked about writing in that episode was how I felt about my stories and how excluded I felt because I was told that I shouldn't write or that my stories wouldn't be read. And there was so much that I related to with that. So that episode was just the epitome for me. I don't think they could ever make a episode that will relate to me any more than that. Unless I become a famous actor, I mean, famous author, and they actually let me cameo as like Guinan's daughter. Um, But the only thing that'll ever beat that. I'm done.
Oh, well, my favorite character was Jaden. He had a
Oh
really
yeah, Jaden.
he had a really fleshed out story as well. Besides Caleb, because obviously he's the main character.
Yeah.
They've decided. But Jaden's and like it's funny because there's some episodes where you barely saw him, but when they were part of him, when it was his time to shine, he shined. And specifically his episode where we get to learn about the Cleons and
Yeah.
what happened to them. And that was a really good episode, and it had ties to the all the way back to the original series and the original series movies, and and it was really interesting to show people how like these cultures um they have their own identity and you can't push your beliefs on other cultures. And it was just really great. And it was like one of those things where you like to say that were they talking to the audience? Because they were talking to the audience for that. They were saying, look, guys, like the Cleons are the Cleons. We need to make sure that you understand things have to change on their own terms. And the character of Jaden, he is Cleon, yes, but he's also all these other things. And they never said Cleons couldn't wear skirts. They never said Cleons couldn't love people of the same sex. They never said any of those things in Star Trek.
Mhm.
So that's so important to show that they have depth to their own culture.
Also, they've
That's
shown
what I like about the
Klingons in the
character.
past wearing skirts.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They're kinda
full
like those
length robes.
warrior, yeah, they've had the robes and then, like, those warrior skirts. I don't know what they call them. I see, like, these days, like, boxers and MMA fighters fight in them.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a
Oh
skirt.
yeah.
That's a skirt. Uh, and, I like
So
seeing the
you know the difference.
Klingons. Oh, go ahead.
You know the difference between a skirt and a kilt, right?
Mm, actually, I do
You
not.
Joke
you
incoming.
do it's actually not a joke, but it is hilarious. When so if you are to wear a kilt in the traditional sense, you do not wear underwear.
Mm.
Yeah.
If you wear underwear, then it's considered a skirt.
Ah,
Oh, so all those women who don't wear underwear.
are wearing
Are
kilts.
wearing
Very
kilts.
cute. Let's go. So boy, I
Yeah.
learned something today. Oh, so I don't have to worry about my kilt making it to my knees because
Oh
that's
my
for
god.
skirts, right?
Oh gosh.
Okay, so for me, since we're answering the question of our favorite character, and we will double back to the original question, which is fine because I like the way and the direction that this went. And I'll give you space, my love, if Sam isn't your favorite character, even though I think that she is. I was really thinking hard about like who my favorite character is, and I've gotta go with what is her name? Jet Reno.
Genesis? Oh, okay.
I mm,
Oh, okay.
girl, please. You didn't see the same. I see so much of myself in Jet Reno. She is so like crass and full of herself, and her confidence level is there, and she's unshakable, and she, gives everybody the business, and it nothing really phases or bothers her. She can't I don't really see her as being um like you can't really tell her what to do. Like when she's being given an order, it's like she does it because she thinks it's the best idea. But I imagine if somebody tried to order her to do some shit that she didn't think was the way to go, she not doing that shit.
Oh, yeah, but that's true. That's true. She's done that in Discovery.
Oh, thank you, babe, for validating
Yeah.
that. And then I really like the way that she engages with the students and the cadets. Um, she doesn't take any kind of shit off of them, and they are, you know, in that stage of life where they're wanting to talk back and they want to find themselves. And she doesn't even try to like demand or overpower or control them. She lets them be free to do what they want to do. Like, hey, I'm just trying to tell you, like, this is the way to go. But if you want to do that dumb shit over there, I'm gonna sit back with my popcorn and watch you fuck this up. And when you ready for some help, Imma be here to support you. But yeah, I think this is pretty hilarious, to watch the kids slip and bump their head. And then there's this softer side to her that through the love story between her and her partner, which is also highlighting a lesbian relationship where she is choosing love over going off into the stars, which is something that we don't see a lot of in Star Trek overall. A lot of times you see these long distance strained relationships because people are choosing their careers over their romantic partnerships, but she did the opposite. And whenever she's in conversation with what is her partner's name?
Laura Thought.
When she's in conversation with Thok, all of that like roughness to her and strength, it just softens
Yeah.
way down. And I love the balance between the two of them because she does not give that energy to anybody but Doc. Like she talks soft and she's slow and she's just like, well, we're going to work this out, love. Don't you worry about it. I got you. But everybody else gets the smoke.
Well, also,
Well,
also, if you think about it too, when the cadets were in the last episode, when the cadets finally had to take bridge roles, she took a firm but soft approach to affirm them, to help them learn, but also be like, you know, I've made mistakes too, and that's okay. But we got to get out of this alive, okay? Okay.
yeah.
Mm,
Well, and you have to remember, she is from the 23rd century.
Yeah.
She left a lot behind when she went with Discovery into the future, because
Yeah.
she was married before to a woman in the past, and she mentions that early in the season. She said, "I left a life and a wife behind to come to the 32nd century."
Yeah.
And she's got a lot of wisdom from that experience that she had, and being found by Discovery and saving her, and then her be integrating into that crew, and then eventually finding her way to her position as an instructor. And I think she's a damn good instructor in
Yeah.
that last
Yeah. Absolutely.
episode.
Yep.
For sure. She showed that she could hold her own.
Yep.
mm. I love her and Thought's relationship because neither one of them takes any mess and they respect that about each other. It's like to see them together as a couple is like that makes sense because of their personalities.
And
Who
they're not
gonna put
changing
up with
for
that
each other
shit?
either. They're they
Yeah.
don't change for each other. Laura is very
Right.
firm, but she's a sweetie. When
Mhm.
she was like, "Well, you owe me, what is it, French Klingon fusion?" for
Mhm.
their dinner, and then when Jet, like, I don't know what she did to her toe, because that thing was gross.
Yeah.
But you can hear Laura like, "Do not leave me. I cannot live without you." And Jet was just like, "It's okay. I'm not gonna die. I just need a little. I don't know what it was. Something medical." And she, that's the way that they talk. They didn't change. It's just that it
Mhm.
was translated into their language of care for each other. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh man, so we got our favorite characters out of the way. I want to double back to the first question, and I want to know what like your favorite part of Starfleet is. And maybe we can tie this in with the storyline. Like, what's your favorite storyline from Starfleet Academy?
For me, honestly, it's the huge story arc, and it's kind of like a subtle story. Um, it's about what does Starfleet look like when it's rebuilt or when it's rebuilding. So we have an idea of Starfleet for the past 6 decades, like um, from when it debuted in the '60s. It's supposed to be like this post scarcity society. People are extremely professional, except for Captain Kirk, because he doesn't have a professional bone in his body. Um, and then there's a lot of like decorum with Captain Picard. He's so well knit together, and the challenges that he has to deal with are monumental. But he remains he remains Picard, but he changes and becomes this very empathetic and caring person. Um, the challenges that Starfleet deals with through Voyager, because Janeway, yes, her loyalty is to Starfleet principles, but those principles are in the Alpha Quadrant, and her crew is in the Delta Quadrant, and she needs to get home. And so she has to find ways to maintain her commitments while getting her crew home. And she's very like, I don't know, we might die out here, you know. And so forth and so on. And now we get a breather where we're like, okay, Starfleet has been all of these different things to different people, but there is a central ideal. What happens when we have to revisit that ideal and rebuild Starfleet in a post emergency society? uh I know you mentioned that this is kind of like post COVID because of the separation, but also think about the new world since 9/11. Um, we have a whole different paradigm, right? We have a whole different paradigm. People are paranoid. People are mistrusting. People have different ideas. We have kids who are grown now, who have never known the world before the Department of Homeland Security. These are war college kids. You know what I mean?
Go shit.
Yeah, exactly. So then when you hear people complain like Starfleet is not that, I'm like, but things change and they have to. Otherwise, it collapses, which is why Starfleet almost collapsed. And so now they're in a place where they can move around, they can communicate with people, and you have brand new students who have their context is this whole different world that they have to cope with. And the the finale with it being a trial, I thought was brilliant, because the next generation starts off with a trial and it ends with a trial. And the whole point is, who do you think you are, and who
Mm.
actually are you? Are these
Mm.
principles real? Are you actually going to mature because of your principles, or are you going to slide back into your primitive warlike ways and destroy yourselves? Noose Baraka is the judge, and Starfleet is going to be judged by its enemies. And if there's anything that we can learn, okay, look to the past. The Vulcans and the Romulans reunited. The Klingons became allies. the Jem'Hadar have found a way to exist in this world. Um, is basically enemies are no longer um these distrusting factions, but it's the friends that we had that we have to reconvince. You know,
How many of us have
right?
them?
And I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna stop there. There's so much that I can share, but just like that overall arching theme of who are you, who are you really? Is Starfleet really these things, or are you gonna fall apart the instant you get challenged?
Hmm.
All right, favorite storyline. What you got for us, Mel?
I like well, I mean, other than what I've already said about Sam, I love how they show character development, especially when it comes to where they come from and
Mm,
what can be changed, what can be
Yeah.
learned. Like the opening with the school being built next to the tree growing is what we're doing with these students, what we're doing with people in general. Like we even have the crew from Discovery finding new ways to be people in this new universe. And despite what you may see as like something holding you back, like we have Jaden with his Klingon heritage and having to learn to be a Klingon. The way that his family let him go was them letting him grow and be the person that he needs to be. This right, and it doesn't change the fact that he's Klingon. And like Caleb can be an awesome engineer in Starfleet. It doesn't change the fact that he grew up in without a home or on his own. He's still a brilliant engineer, and a lot of that was what he used in order to survive all that time. And it kind of shows like you can't necessarily regret where you've come from. You can pull from that and continue to move on. And I want that's the message that the world needs. I see so many people so traumatized and stuck in their mind of what things should be when those things that should be are in the past and not helpful anymore. And for these characters to grow the way that they did, and for them to each have their own, I can take this power from my past, regardless of what it is, regardless of how painful it used to be, and turn it into something useful that I can actually be proud of now.
Thank
Hello.
you for sharing. Go ahead, PJ.
Well, for me, I my favorite storyline that happened was the Miyazaki incident
ooh,
and the aftermath
Mm.
after that,
yeah.
because it took 2 episodes to kind of come to a resolution, and it was still kind of there all the way up into the last episode too. And the fact that they went on this training assignment, and then tragedy happened, and they lost a student, and then from that point on, you see these characters slowly start to recover from that incident. And it's like the last episode is where it all comes to a full head, where like Jet Reno's like, guys, you lost faith in yourselves. You need to find that faith in your abilities and put them to use where they need to be. And then we kind of saw these characters find their footing where they need to be. Genesis found that she could command. She doubted herself. She was scared. Um, she couldn't help properly. Um, uh, Darum was he doubted that he even had a place in Starfleet. He wanted to be a captain in command so bad, but he didn't think he could take orders from somebody else. So that's where his doubt came in. Sam just doubted her existence, and her place in the world. And I'm trying to think of all the characters. Of Caleb
With
doubted.
Will.
Which
Go
one?
ahead.
Oh, Tarima. Tarima, yeah.
Yeah.
Tarima
Hmm.
doubted that in herself that she could even like function properly in society with her what she kind of saw as a crutch or like a sort of like a disability kind of or maybe she
Hmm.
thought every maybe I'm looking at it a wrong way. Maybe she thought people saw it as a disability when she knew it was just part of who she was,
Or a
her
threat.
power, yes,
Mhm.
or a threat,
Yeah.
yeah. And she knew she couldn't change it, but it always became it, and it developed into a crutch when it really, with the right discussion and the right coming from all sides, like the people in her life needed to talk to her and tell her, we don't see you that way, and she needed to accept that. They all had their little things, and like the turning point, the focal point was that Miyazaki incident, because that's where they, they were just kind of floating around at the beginning, and we were just starting to discover who they were, but that kind of catapulted it. And it's like, okay, these kids are lost from this point. We need to put them back together. So that was one of my favorite moments.
Before I share my favorite part of the Miyazaki was them using the comic book to help the
Yeah.
computer get up to speed to where they were. And I know that all of the different shows we watch, whether it's Star Trek, Star Wars, or different shows that people who really, really love these shows, they go out and they read more outside of just like what you can watch in the movie or the TV show. And there's like a whole world that exists. And that was to me like bringing a piece of that into this, right? And I just thought that was super cool. But my favorite storyline has got to be from the beginning when it is showing the lack of justice in a system
Yeah.
that they are. Oh my god, I'm about to try to offer some grace. Uh, Forgive me because I feel like I want to throw up when I say this, but the system is designed in Star Trek to, be good and to be helpful and to support and all the things. And they really just do not see how damaging a hierarchical structure is. And against their best attempts and all of their well-meaningness, you're ripping families apart. You're flying over worlds that have people struggling and are desperate and in help. And all throughout the show, it is focusing on the inadequacies of the system that we live in right now. And it is not giving them an out. They were having to face, all of these issues head on and like, are we really doing the best that we can? Is this really the best decision to have made? And now that we've made the decision and the shit is hitting the fan, what are we gonna do about it? Because we're not receiving Epstein's files in Star Trek and then just like letting that shit go. No, the consequences is coming and y'all gonna have to, answer for the decisions that you made, Ake. Like, and as dope and lit as she is with her barefoot self, and even in one of the final episodes, when she was in her comfortable place, she was not sitting with proper posture, even in the captain's chair when they were trying to figure out a really difficult situation, she had her leg up over the armrest and trying to like be as comfortable as she could be so that she could use her brain to find the best solution, right? And the dynamic between her and the admiral when she came back because she was following the hierarchy and it caused her to make choices that has tipped over a domino that has progressed to where Caleb and his mom have been separated for 2 decades and it's a whole shit show and she's trying her best to try to repair the damage that she caused by participating in this system. And even though it was the law and there were orders and she was just following them, just because it's the law and just because you've been ordered to do something does not make that shit right. And when she found out that Caleb had found his mom and had left, she told the admiral, like, hey, I gotta go do this. And he didn't like pull some crazy rank and tell her, like, I'm ordering you to do X, Y, and Z. He gave her the space to be like, hey, if you go do this, I'm not gonna be able to really protect you. But just kinda do it in a way that does not make me pull rank on you. So, take what you will from that message and go do your best out there. And I just, like, love how they're coloring outside of the lines of the structures that we get ourselves inside of, and then we fail to take accountability for our actions by saying that the law made us do or an order told us to do instead of like knowing with the integrity and the moral fibers that are inside of us to do what is actually right.
Yep.
And I think I want to also highlight a storyline that was really impactful for me, which is what got me into Star Trek to begin with, is Voyager and the Doctor and the emotional hurdles that Star Trek requires their characters to evolve through. And I witness this in men a lot when they care about something and they are hurt and they love and they lose it, how difficult it is for men to open up and be soft and love again. And that storyline with the doctor and Sam, baby, listen here. That was full with all of the emotions and how he chose to open himself up to love again and then to have had to take his mobile emitter out and put it inside of the ship, and then when he came back and he couldn't even talk. And Sam is like, "Where's my dad?" Or even when Sam had left and went with Caleb and how close the doctor is with her now, like, "Where is my daughter? Like, we gotta go now. Why are we still standing here talking about this? We need to
Mhm.
go." It wasn't even a conversation about whether we following orders or not. We going to get my daughter, right? And all of that was just amazing for me. This show is just incredible. I'm complete.
Mm.
Oh, and in my I don't know if it's just my opinion, but I think when Ake went to go rescue them in the end, I'm not even sure if she expected Caleb to come back because I feel like she would have let him go with his mom if he really wanted to. And she even, I think she kind of brusquely said, she said, I would give you a shuttle, but we're
Yeah.
in a serious
Mhm.
situation right now.
Yep.
So really, it was just to make sure that they were all okay where they were going. The kids were all okay, and that the ones that needed to come back were going to come back. So it wasn't
Yeah.
like she wasn't trying to force Caleb to come back. She was
Mm.
just making sure that they were all safe.
Absolutely. It was one of my favorite lines when the mom flat out threatened her. Something go wrong with my son, you dead. I'm not fucking playing with you. And she's like, you be doing me a solid. If
Yeah.
something's wrong with him,
Yep.
please kill me.
Yeah.
Oh, what Sunday said, she said a lot, but well, about Ake, it and the others, some of the others, but like I've been focused on the kids representing Gen Z, but like we have the teachers kind of, especially the ones who came from Discovery. Um, well, we got one to come from Discovery, kind of representing millennials because, like you said, they're coming. We grew up in a world post 9/11, so we saw like the destruction of everything, and then still have to live in this destruction while raising these kids. And I feel like Ake probably represents more boomers who are like more strict on how things should be and or what they think should be and the rules and like trying to soften them up to learn what do they have to go through to figure out that they need to guide us in a new way. Like I don't know if I'm explaining that very well, but like her situation with Caleb and his mom at first is like, these are rules, this is how we do things. And that very much reminds me of boomers. It's like, how come y'all ain't just doing the thing? And she had to go through something and see these younger people go through what this world is putting them through in order to figure out, oh, maybe that's not right. Like we have some boomers who like look at their kids' income and look at how much houses cost, and it's like, oh, they can't just skip avocado toast to buy a house. Like they got actually like they're so far removed from it, and they're so stuck on what used to be, and that's also representative in her obsession with old things, like her
Yeah,
office full of books and statues, and she's wearing some glasses and
yeah.
y'all need glasses? What?
Like you got
It's just
seven pairs
a
of boots. You got seven pair of boots, but you don't wear shoes.
yeah, that's very boomer. That is very boomer.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know why. I've met so many older women that just have so many shoes and they only really wear one pair.
I feel
We're
called
calling them
out.
out.
That's that's Sunday for you.
My mom's got like 40 shoes. She
Mm,
only wears like the most comfortable tennis shoes that she has.
yeah.
I'm like, what are you
That's
doing all these
so
other shoes? I'm
funny.
like, they're
I
mine.
didn't even think about that because I hate shopping for any and everything except shoes. I don't mind shoe shopping at all, but I am very much barefoot and hardly ever put shoes on if I can avoid it. So, yeah, I don't appreciate that, Mel. Thank you very much.
I have
Hey,
3 pair of boots and I once a year maybe wear one of them. And I always like I have a pair of tennis shoes that I wear out and then buy another pair. That's
mhm.
it.
Hey,
And I'm barefoot at home.
let's slide to the next one. We have a few minutes left. Uh is it okay if I jump to least favorite? Actually, we can kind of combine these. Least favorite character, storylines, part, etc.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. For me, my least favorite character is Tarima. Um I maybe this is just a me thing. Um her character comes across as just a love interest, kind of like in rom-coms and stuff. Remember I was complaining, and I guess this is my least favorite part, where they're having an argument while playing basketball. I'm just like, that's I hate that. I've seen it in movies. They do it in so many TV shows. Um, when they're when a couple is fighting or arguing, but they're playing sports or they're sparring, like how do you have energy to think about how mad you are while you're trying to be good at basketball or while you're trying to show that you're the superior sparring partner or whatever? Like, and then the way that they do the conversation in between the action is just so clumsy to me. And it's not just this
Mm.
show, it's just whenever they do it. Just whenever it's done. Um and I understand like Tarima had like a specific story arc. I think it was extremely subdued. I think there's a whole lot of potential there that can be told, but I think they were like, "Hey, there's this whole world of stuff, but we're gonna give you just a little trickle and not explain this character until like the last two episodes." And to me, that was just kind of that was an unsuccessful approach.
Yeah, I have no idea. Um, I I don't know. I don't think there's anything that I dislike about it. I do kind of find it weird, but I love the fact that they use this as a storyline. The
Oh
Miyazaki was having a trauma response.
yeah,
Like the ship was
the actual
traumatized.
ship.
The actual
Like,
ship
where's my
was running
crew?
through. Yes, and then they
Oh,
used the comic
no.
book to create to build that bridge. Um, I don't know, some of the war college kids, I know they didn't flesh them out very well because they
Yeah.
were kinda like side characters, but, and that's part of why I give an excuse for why Tarima wasn't very fleshed out. She did kinda have no personality. Her coming from a sheltered world kinda excused that a little bit until you met her brother. Like, he comes from a sheltered world and he got a personality. I mean, technically we are. We've never been off of Earth. We're fine. I don't know.
Her brother is
It's
he's the spoiled child and he gets to do whatever he wants, but she doesn't get to do whatever she wants because she has to set an
Because she
example.
be hurting people.
'cause
Yes.
she's scared of
Yeah.
herself.
Yep.
She's scared of herself, but she didn't portray that as well as, like, she could've, I guess, or that someone could have.
Yeah.
She didn't emote it very well. She was just kinda plain. I
I'm okay with that because, like, if she, remember they're young, who knows how old they are, but imagine a a child doesn't know how to act, so their acting is
Mhm,
gonna come like their acting or their behavior is gonna come across as pretty like bland, and
mhm,
I can acknowledge that. It's just
mhm,
the bad romance stuff that I'm just like this could have been written a little bit better, but yeah.
mm, yeah.
For me, my least favorite characters was the War College cadet, the Romulan one. I think her name was DeZolo, which they
Yeah.
never really said her name.
She
I
never
didn't like her character.
Yeah. She was just a mean girl.
Yeah, yeah, and that was all she served. And like, and then she disappears after the death of the Vulcan. She
Yeah.
disappears, and I was like, did she leave? Because like then they're like, okay, we don't need a mean girl anymore, and it's like, well, this was I would have liked to see her like get put with one of the other cadets and then them discover that she's not that much of a mean girl. You know how they always have those storylines in the teen dramas. That would have been nice to see. Um, like something like between her and Genesis would have been nice. Like she just wants to be a command person too, but she's a war college kid. So it would, and that kind of frustrated me to see that she was a one-dimensional character. The other thing I had trouble with was, uh, and I didn't realize it till the last episode was uh, New Sparaka's dialogue. That
Oh, yeah.
sometimes it seemed too now too 21st century to like it was because a lot of the things that came out of his mouth, a lot of the references he made were from our generation and world and not necessarily the world of Star Trek. Like he would reference presidents and things like that, and it's like, well, like a lot of these characters don't even know what these things are. These references to the United States and
PJ, don't you
our
know?
culture.
Don't you know that the uncivilized galaxy hasn't progressed past the 21st century while the Federation is in the 31st century?
The
That
sacred text. Yeah, that was one of my biggest gripes is the dialogue.
Yeah. What about you, Sunday?
This is not as easy as it was with Babylon 5 and how much I hated Londo. Oh, oh man. Least favorite character
That's okay. What about your least favorite story?
storyline. Um, I kind of feel like Mel, like I just really liked it all. Okay, least favorite character. I don't freaking have one. Um, I guess Sarima. I don't like her.
All this
Um,
hate. Poor girl.
he just is, you know, really weak, and
Mm.
I kind of have the if you're the weakest link, you're gonna be the thing to pull us down. But fortunately, she was able to end up being the linchpin to save all the stuff and things. And so I appreciated that. So I guess in line with Sarima being my least favorite character, I equally dislike the storyline of her being the love interest of Caleb when I just really think that him and Genesis are a better connection. But the way that they set things up is that like the two strong characters that probably have the most in common are not the two that are gonna be together. It's like he's gotta be, strong and then she's a little on the softer side. And those are the two that end up being together when y'all don't even have like the same kind of motivations and like directions Genesis and him do. And it just is frustrating. But even though I did not like her or her storyline, I do appreciate how they created the safe space for their relationship. And no matter how many times they got into a situation where their relationship struggled, they were finding ways to repair. And I really did appreciate that. They were going through traumatic situations, and then they eventually got to the end where they were both going to be vulnerable with each other. And then they used that vulnerability to find his mother and henceforth save all the stuff and things.
Hmm.
So, yeah,
I love
that's
that.
the best answer that I've got because it was hard to pick something that I didn't like because it was all really, really good.
I love that phrase you use, all the stuff and things. That is awesome. I'm a fan.
Let's get to this last part so we can keep this under an hour and a half. The question is, what do we hope to see next season? Um, Honestly, I hope to see the characters develop in the fields that they pursue. I want to see more engineering. I want to see more medicine. I want to see more development in command, and in a way, get the audience into the nuance of learning these things. Um, and as we're learning those things, we can see how the characters develop through the potential problems that can pop up. I know that they're talking about a new, different type of villain, and that's cool.
I saw that.
Star Trek is really, um, they really do come up with interesting villains, and I hope that they do it in a way that is challenging to the Starfleet principles rather than physically Starfleet. And
Mm.
then the galaxy is huge. I wouldn't mind them at least hinting at there is a villain or an enemy out there that we don't quite know, and we don't want to go to war with them, but they're mysterious and they're dangerous, and so it kind of gives you a sense that has been through all of the Star Treks. Because remember, in the original series, they didn't know what Romulans looked like for a long time,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
they were at war with the Klingons. They were enemies with the Klingons, and then the next generation, there was the neutral zone. They remained villains with the Romulans, and they had the Borg, um,
The Q.
the Q. Oh gosh, the Q, a great character.
Yeah.
Mm.
So things that are challenging like that. Um, I also wouldn't mind to see a slight update to the cadets' uniforms. They're really cool, but imagine, colleges change their merchandise like every year anyway. So let's see an
Mm.
update to
Sure that's
the
gonna happen.
yeah. Let's see an update to their attire. I'm complete there.
Mm. I'm going to tag on to your mysterious villain because I don't remember too well. I need to rewatch Enterprise, but whoever was manipulating the Zulaban, I feel like they have a hand in this because the creatures that were on the Miyazaki were altered humans. They weren't done as well as the Zulaban from Enterprise, but because there's some timey-wimey stuff happening, it is possible that that was the start of it, and then they go back into the past. So that would be a nice Easter egg for them to pull from, and it would be a continuous, mysterious um villain. I would also like to see them explore their relationships with their parents some more. We still haven't met this Admiral that is the parent of Genesis. because I'm quite sure it's not the
Oh, yeah.
emerald that we have.
I forgot we
We've
never
met,
actually
what,
saw her
3 of the
parents.
parents? Yeah, we've met, like, 3 of the parents.
Yeah.
Well, and now we have the doctor as a parent. But, and we met what's his name's parents, kinda.
Jaden.
They never said anything, but they were there.
We got to see them ignore him.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah. They were, like, standing in the
Like,
corner drinking punch.
yeah, like, at some point, I would like them to confront their background and their families. Jaden may end up somehow reuniting with his family, even though he's probably not gonna fully reunite, but at least, like, see them again, his parents. I think that would be a nice thing so that they can see how much they've grown and a nice contrast to the fears and the insecurities that they had at first. And especially coming from an education background, one of the biggest things that us teachers talk about at the end of the school year is recognizing how much our students have grown by the end of the year, like not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. And that would be like the best way to contrast that and look at how much they've grown, other than looking at the first episode to the 10th.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm kind of excited to see so there's been rumors on the interwebs that there is a new villain coming, and it may or may not be Romulan.
Mm.
So it would be interesting because that means we will get to see a lot more of a Star Trek staple that we hadn't seen in a while, which is the Vulcans and the Romulans.
Yep.
So I mean, they had two characters that were Vulcan and Romulan, but they really didn't have a huge part of it, and they are their own. Um, the what are they called? Navar,
Yeah.
their own
Navarre.
culture now. They're the Navar, and they are not part of the Federation anymore. So
Yeah.
it would be interesting to see if there's going to be a reaching out to them, and maybe we'll see Saru come back as the ambassador for the Federation to Navar.
Yeah.
So
That would be fun.
For me, I think I am hopeful to see that the second chance that Sam got to be raised by the doctor is going to draw her world of photonics closer in with the Federation. And if Damien's hope for a villain that we know nothing about comes, that we fall dependent on the photonics to be in a more active role because they are currently like, I don't fuck with you.
Yep.
they are.
Yep.
But if there's a situation where, their connection to us through Sam makes their cooperation important to, all of us and we can see a benefit that they have to, come to our aid, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. So I think this is a good spot for us to jump off. Because there's a whole lot to discuss about Starfleet Academy. And maybe we can
Go
do
on for
some
hours.
yeah, I know. Maybe that we can do some side missions or do it on TikTok, something like that.
Mhm.
But well, I would like to thank our listeners for joining us for this edition of Voices in Hyperspace. Thank you for joining us on YouTube. Be sure to like, share, follow, and for more Voices in Hyperspace, be sure to follow us on our Instagram, Facebook, and our TikTok. All of those at Voices in Hyperspace. I'm Legendary Black Lion. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Legendary Black Lion. Join me as I continue to share some even more nerdy stuff, and you're going to get more of that here as well.
I'm Mel Asylum. You can find me on TikTok and melsrebellion.com. And you can find my book, Unrooting the System, on amazon.com.
I'm PJ3K, and you can find me on Instagram at PJ3K.
Hey y'all, this is Sunday. You can find me at a poker table.
Until next time, we'll see you out there. Peace.